for lack of a better use of words, it's his fault. It's
Yeah.
not the people's fault. He hired them.
I think that's what he was trying to say.
So it's, it goes back to the sports analogy that I always use, is right. So when a team is failing, do they fire all the players or do they fire the coach?
Well, it's EQ.
If the kicker keeps shanking.
Ooh, that's a sore subject, Miami. So then we've got everything separated. Now the job's easier. But like me being there, just walking her through it and giving her prompts in a sense. And I think that's what really needs to be out there. That's not out there right now.
You just described the Ask Me Anything session.
Giving a little bit of initial direction.
Yeah, that's what it is. Well, I mean, you have to, and I think in every business, especially when you're a small business or solopreneur, you have to get to a point where you're very choosy with who you work with.
That's great.
Because it's not only for your own mental health, but you simply are not going to help this person, Yeah. And we all have had clients like that. So I think the best thing you can do is be able to get to a point in your business where you get to fire your clients. If you're in that position, you're doing really well.
Yeah.
Yep. But most of us in the beginning is we just take anything. Hey, I just need to pay the bill. So just say, I don't like this guy, but hey, he's paying. So let's just do it. And then you're the one that suffers because they don't care. They don't care. They just blame you. They just blame you no matter what.
I think on a parallel, Carlos Garcia from Level Up Realty, I think he talked about that really with onboarding, his team members, but you touched on it. Like he focused on, what he values,
correct,
in the business first, and same thing with clients. Like, is it the cash flow, opportunity cost, or is it like which direction you're headed and everything like that? So I feel like that was very parallel. Anything stick out to anybody aside from the right mindset for entrepreneurship?
I think we talked about it one time that yes, we bring up what the question, what is your obstacle? What are you facing right now? But it became what's your win for today, or what's your win? And we had thought about maybe bringing that up as one of the starters. What's your big win? Mm-hmm. And then what's your obstacle? And that it seemed like maybe they weren't ready to say anything else, but to start with here's my problem. And then they just, after the young man went with his situation and then ended on a positive note, it just changed the trajectory of the conversation in the room. Mm-hmm. And it just went like I went here and I went here.
Yeah.
And which was good and different, Sure.
I think in general, people will have more of a safe space to talk about their wins than they will their losses. So if it's a quiet room, inviting the wins in and then getting into some of the losses out of that might be an approach. But
because you don't want to, and I kind of looked around. What I was scared of is people are doing their wins, and then like Ruby said, like sometimes you're intimidated, or you look at others and you compare yourself. I don't want
to, because there's such a spectrum of
right. And then if one person goes, "Well, I have nothing like that," and then they just get really quiet,
themselves.
Mm-hmm. And then they get self-conscious, or they start comparing themselves to that and feeling bad, and and then go away, leave the group in a lower note than a more positive note.
So it sounds like starting with the wins didn't necessarily return what results we thought it would?
It did, but I think it's just got to be controlled a little in the future if we do that.
I think as long as maybe we facilitate the unpacking of the win. So to get to that point, surely you had some obstacles you had to overcome.
And that's the way I think you planted the seed correctly.
With Carlos?
No, overall.
Oh.
When you started the conversation, the way you said it was a bit different than him. When you did use his quote,
sow a seed of vulnerability.
Yes, he did say that. And then you said, if you want to share something or a hurdle that you just went through and came out ahead. So that was the setup for the win, right? So don't necessarily share something bad. You can share, hey, I went through that, but it came out really good.
And even if they don't have a solution, I feel like that's where the diversity of thought in the room and backgrounds, someone may have gone through something similar and come out ahead and have something to add value on. You know?
I like the framing though. I like framing it as you have a win essentially, and I wasn't there for that part of it, but I'm paraphrasing my understanding. If you have a win, would love to hear that. You know, what were those hurdles that you had to overcome in order to get there? Like that framework or that framing of the question is really, to me, that's really cool. I think because
let's test it out next week, or I mean the next time.
Oh, we can keep doing it for sure. But what it does, it allows us to we almost kill two birds with one stone. Because one of the things that I know is when we come into the room, whenever we've come into this room, starting with a motivation is that first positive. And the reality is we all have motivations, things that help us to stay on course to getting to our goal. But we also all have real challenges that stand in the way of the goals that we're currently trying to achieve. So learning what it looks like, but having that space where we can share it all together, other people can start speaking into it. I think that's where your brilliance shines as well, because when you hear it, you automatically have something that you can add that's valuable in the moment. And so, but this, it's almost like we can cut to it a lot quicker, just how you framed it up. Like we can cut to that shared connection that we should have just being in this space as business owners.
So maybe that's it. Like talk about a revelation or something you overcame, getting to a positive outcome.
Yeah.
But then with that, can you share a hurdle or two?
Yeah.
Encountered along the way? Yeah.
I almost feel like it would naturally happen because part of this is part of the story. I can't tell you a winning story without telling you the beginning and how I got there. And how I got there is going to be a few roadblocks. I think we're going to get it no matter what. Ideally, right? Because nobody will share, oh yeah, everything is peachy, everything is great, everything is fantastic, I don't need anything. Nobody will tell that story. They'll just keep it quiet.
Yeah.
You caught probably the last half, maybe, I guess.
I did, yeah.
At least, yeah. Anything stick out to you in particular?
Carlos Garcia.
Middle Carlos Garcia.
Yeah.
With Level Up Realty.
Yes.
Plug.
I was just noticing. So for me, I'm all themes stand out to me and facilitation. And unfortunately, I don't get to pay attention because I'm ADHD. I don't get to pay attention to the whole of what people are saying. I'm catching it. It's kind of washing over me in a sense. I'm measuring the dynamics and whether or not people are feeling comfortable or open in the room, and whether or not people are getting opportunities to participate. And then beyond that, measuring what level of value could I potentially discern a person is getting. And I'm looking around the room as it's all going on. And so Carlos Garcia, I thought, was doing actually a really good job of kind of being a bit of a facilitator for the group in a sense. And was because he's just so in his element, in his space, and has been doing his business for as long as he has. He can share freely, and that's the beauty of when people have entered into their zone of genius, is that you're sharing all kinds of nuggets without even realizing, dude, these are nuggets that people are writing down. Like Alex, who was sitting to his left, was like constantly writing stuff down. Like I watched Alex go from not having anything on the table in front of him to taking out a piece of paper, folding it, and then starting to take notes feverishly.
Nice. So
I thought, okay, cool. At least the young man's getting value out of it. Mm-hmm. And then I think her name's Cassie.
Jefferson Bank.
Yeah.
Yep.
She was able to ping off of Carlos and a couple of others. And Ruby's, she says she's a social introvert, but the reality is she knows how to carry herself in a room, right? She knows how to talk. She knows how to do that. So, what stood out to me is just the way that the group comes together. And then afterwards, the amount of people who will come up and say, I really like this. And I'm like, thank you. Like, we're really glad that you're here. And every time I've never been in anything like this. And I'm kind of like, I kind of don't ever know how to respond to that.
Really?
I mean, because a part of me is like, I wonder why nothing else like this exists.
You're like, really? You never been to a therapist?
I don't think many people have been to group therapy, to be really honest. Like I hear about people going to therapy. I never hear about people going to group therapy unless like the situation was extraordinarily like dire. It was extreme, and people have to all get together and be like, "Bro, you have a problem," So either way, they say I've never been anywhere like this. So that's what stood out to me. It stood out that there was some facilitation going around that we were not necessarily doing in the moment. It was beginning to happen on its own and take shape. And I think that's just because of what we provided already. So that stood out to me. I was grateful for that, because I think business owners have to have a place where they can walk into the place and they can share whatever it is that they need to share, but to feel like we as hosts aren't carrying the full weight of burden with regard to how this conversation goes and facilitating it, even though technically we do. When the attenders start to adopt that weight and that burden for themselves and begin to carry it, that to me is like, oh, whoa, now we're working with something that's really that really is a benefit to the people who are coming. That's all I want out of it. I think we can connect them to resources and value afterwards, which kind of was a plug afterwards.
Sure.
With everybody that I knew, or everybody that I got to meet, to go meet face to face. I said, hey, let's talk about, some resources. I talked about Carlos and Carlos's book, talked about you and what you do in podcasting, talked about you and what we went through last week when I went through the forms that you did with the personality profiles, the personas, and how good that is and how some people need that. And so as I was talking to people, I'm making the connections in my mind and thinking, they need Meisie. Okay, they need Matt, they need Carlos. And that became even easier. That made all of this it makes it worth it. It makes it worth putting it on. It makes it worth stressing over some of the details with regard to marketing when you know that people are getting the value that can help their businesses.
Nice. Ruby said something today that stood out to me. And I just framed it as measurement of success and how that's kind of variable between people. And I know you touched on values and stuff based off of what Carlos said and kind of understanding what your measurement of success was. But I like that. The power of one. For her, it's just like, I just need to get one booking out of this one event full of 20 people, I imagine, or however many people. Mm-hmm. I just need to replicate that, get one. Kind of creating a scoreboard for yourself in business. So I know Action Coach has all kinds of frameworks and stuff like that, but what are your thoughts on that?
I think it goes back to understanding your destination. Understanding your destination obviously is, I think it's the bigger thing, and measuring, like being able to create what success looks like is tied to that. And then you have like all of the steps that'll get you to that success that you have determined for yourself. Each of the stepping stones, checkpoints, whatever you want to call them. And so it was a good reminder for me of some things that I know for us are the beginning of the process. I think sometimes people feel like it's incredibly, maybe it's too fundamental, or maybe it's too simple. And the reality is, I think for small businesses, again, you go back to, hey, look, if San Antonio, then probably you're a small business, and not San Antonio now, San Antonio back at the point of snowpocalypse. But I just think, as fundamental as it seems, man, it's just so important to always have that, always have those checks. I think every quarter, and we do things where we plan for quarters, right? We have like a 90-day planning offer where it's what we call it a growth club. But you get out and you plan that next 90 days to be able to hit that goal that you're trying to achieve for the year. And in the process of doing that, you always go back to the destination. Like, what's the destination? What's in your heart to do? Where do you want to go as a business owner? You want to scale? Okay, what do you want to scale to? You want to exit? Okay, when are we looking to exit? What does that look like? And then being able to set those little checkpoints, but you get to determine what that is. It's your job to know what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Who do you want to do it with? And all those things are important. And a lot of times you just think, about all the X's and O's that comes along with business. And those things are necessary. But you are necessary to the business. And if you haven't sorted those things out internally for your own self as a person, it just makes it harder to have a clear picture, a clear vision of what you're aiming for, which means that most likely you're probably going to be off target whenever you take a shot. So you have to determine what success is for yourself. But I think that starts super personally. It starts in here at the core of who you are. So the inner world of the business owner, however, as the inner world of the business owner goes, so goes the business.
I think success is deeply personal.
Yeah.
And the mistake we all make is that we measure success by comparing to somebody, because that's the society we live in. We look statistics, we look numbers, we look at how this company is doing. I want to measure up to that. It's always comparing. Mm-hmm. So just based on where we live, this is a capital market, so it's all about comparing. Mm. So we were built like that. We're trained that way, but measure of success is deeply personal, mm-hmm. right? But what happens when the business owner, everything you just described, what happened when the business owner is stuck? And they don't even know. Mm-hmm. They can't give you those answers. They don't know what the next 90 days should be. Mm-hmm. They don't know what the goal is. Mm-hmm. I don't know what my why is. I just want to make money.
Right? Which is not.
Right? That's not your why.
Yeah.
It's never your why.
No.
That's a result. That's an effect, right? So I think to me, that becomes the interesting part, especially in the coaching, whether it be a life coach, leadership coach, business coach, any type of coach. That is always the challenge, because you can teach anybody this technical skills to get them from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. But if the mindset and the emotional control is not there, it'll be very difficult. It'll take a while. So I think regardless of where you're at or your type of business or your type of coaching, you always have to leave some space. Even for marketing. For marketing strategies,
yep.
You have to have that conversation at the human level. And your one-on-one with a client should always be very deeply personal, right? Who are you as a person? What's important to you? What makes you get up in the morning with a smile in your face? When was the last time you did something and completely lost track of time? What you absolutely love doing? Get into that point. It'll give you a lot of the answers. Then you can say, okay, now this is what I have to use to be able to help you to that, get to those goals, get to those targets. But if we don't do that, it's very difficult to help somebody. And they have to be ready. But you have to have that very blunt and black and white conversation. It has to be very deeply personal. And I used to hide behind that. Mm-hmm. And now I face it front end. When I'm in my interview with a potential client, I tell them ahead of time, this is a very deep conversation we're going to have. I want you to be completely open with me, and I will be the same. Ask me anything you want. Mm-hmm. It goes both ways, because we have to see if we're going to be able to work together. Mm-hmm. Right? I want to see if you're coachable. I even use those words. I want to see if you're ready for this, because if you're not, I don't want to just take your money. Yeah. This is not going to work. And then you're not going to be happy. You're not going to see the results, and you're just going to blame me. So, and I think that's a deeper lesson to any business owner that is taking on clients. Unless you're selling a widget that I can buy online and you don't have to face to face, you don't have to have a relationship with your customer, then you're okay. But if you are FaceTiming with your customers, if your business is based on relationships, at some level you need to have that sort of relationship, that conversation, if you want to see a long-term client. And then they will refer you because, you just kind of brought their guard down and talked to them like a human being and, had an honest conversation about, and even help them. And because a lot of times that's what happens the first time. It's like, there's a lot of, I don't know. There's a lot of, I never thought about that. And that's where you start helping,
But people do know. People do know.
Yeah.
And yeah, we know what we're doing because we're doing the thing that we're doing because something about its result is incentive to keep doing it. That's why we do what we do. Even things that are subconscious, you know exactly why you're doing it because there's something you're getting out of doing it that way. Like if it's procrastinating and putting something off, well, no, you know why you're procrastinating. Something about that process makes you feel comforted. And the reality is what you said in the meeting today, which is really good, is none of us grows out of comfort. Like we don't achieve our success by being comfortable. And so, people know. They know what it is. They just have to be, they have to have the resistance. I think I can't remember what writer it is that talks about the resistance all the time. He's got several books and they're good. But the resistance can be the process. The resistance can be a person. It could be a coach, anything. But the resistance that stands there and says, well, no, we're going to push beyond that feeling of comfort and we're going to get into some discomfort and then we're going to keep pushing some more. But that's where you get, that's where you get your successes from, I think. But yeah.
And a lot of times is the fact that they just don't know how to articulate it. I know there's something there. I just don't know exactly what it is.
Well, we were joking about therapy earlier, but I can remember having a therapist who was really good, and she would ask me questions, and I would not know how to articulate it. I would tell her, yeah, I feel a way. I don't know exactly how to describe what I'm feeling. I'd say that. And she would then go and she would give me like words. She would give me a series of words and say, so did you feel this emotion? Did you feel this emotion? Did you feel this one? And she would use words that I might not even use, but words that I understood. And every time that she hit one, I'd go,
I'd click.
I would say, that's it. That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling that. And so that's the beauty of having people walk with you. It doesn't matter what kind of coaching it is. It doesn't even have to be coaching. It could just be providing the service, period.
It could be
as long as what you're doing is giving people opportunities to name and label the experiences that they're having if they can't articulate it. But having to go through the process of doing that is huge. And people need it, not realizing they need it. I think a lot of times the challenge is not just the comparison, which is the challenge, maybe number one on the list, but the other one is feeling like you have to do so many other things and you're speeding to every one to get it done. I mean, we're dealing with the tyranny of the urgent. So how do you solve it? How do you slow your world down? And I think Carlos Garcia has mentioned some really cool things there. He said, man, I kept trying to do this and this and this and this, but eventually I said, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. We're going to do this thing, and this is where we're going to put our focus. And that takes something. That means when you get up every day, well, before you went to bed, you set the environment up for you to go into that space and to accomplish whatever the thing is, right? You put another parameter in place by having an accountability, somebody who you could bounce things off of and say, here's what I'm doing, here's what it's going to look like when it's done, and here's what I'm looking for in terms of a result. And then you go and you do the thing, and then you say, okay, here's what I got. And then you can get some feedback. But at least the process allows you to be held accountable and to have set some target,
Target.
to set some target to keep you aligned to the path that you're trying to be.
And it sounds like it helped his employees understand that target too. And when they know and they have clarity, it makes it easier for them. And through, the natural state of everything, then it can weed out who was meant to be a part of the company and who wasn't. And it's just the culture. So him getting to that, having that epiphany probably just really helped out the team tenfold.
Was that what stood out to you when he talked about weeding out the wrong people?
And to me, it's leadership.
Yeah.
It's for lack of a better use of words, it's his fault. It's not the people's fault. He hired them.
I think that's what he was trying to say.
So it's, it goes back to the sports analogy that I always use, is right. So when a team is failing, do they fire all the players or do they fire the coach?
Well, it's EQ.
If the kicker keeps shanking.
Ooh, that's a sore subject, Miami. So yeah, but having the emotional quotient, like being able to have the emotional intelligence to know it's you. He had that. I think that's what sets great leaders apart from leaders that, you couldn't care less about. But I don't know, that stood out to you, which I didn't think about it until you just said it just now.
But it goes hand in hand with being a good leader. You realize it and you have to see the big picture. Yeah. That's how I took it, and he's like, I guess he did. He's like, it's me. But then on the employee standpoint, I saw it from their eyes. It's probably like, I get it now. Yeah. And I choose to either stay or walk. Yep. But it's also in them because it just makes it a better environment for them to grow from there.
I agree completely. And that's it. It's just, and then once you have clarity on your why and your purpose, which he realized and he did, he had to go back to the basics, which is so perfect. I mean, that's what you got to do. He basically looked himself in the mirror, self-awareness, say, look, this is not working. Why is it not working? So he had this, I got to make all these changes. I got to make this because I'm the one causing this. I'm the one, putting all this new stuff or hiring all these people and all that. So going back to that, to the basics and said, taking charge and being self-aware, then you provide that space and that opportunity for the team now to say, okay, now it's clear. Now I have clarity. I didn't have clarity before. I was just doing this. I was just copying you, being all over the place, right? But now that I have clarity, now I can make a choice. Do I want to stay here because it fits in with my beliefs? Or, you know what? It doesn't. I got to go find someplace else. No problem. That's the way it should always be, right? Yeah, I think that's to me, that's the bigger lesson as to what he did with his business. And that's what stood out and what we all can learn from.
Squirrel moment, like while he was talking, I also started thinking marketing wise. I'm like, well, he has a clarity. Now he knows what he can say and he positions himself and he can take that into his messaging because God knows I don't know what was out there that he was putting out there. But that also helps. Okay, this is what we're going to say. This is what we say in rooms, and this is what people are going to know us by. And, that was my marketing brain going one way. And just saying, there, I hope you find out your positioning statement, as geeky as it is. But hopefully they can, and it just bleeds through to everything within the business.
And that's where it all starts, right? Is that leadership. And then it filters into your operations, through your marketing, into even in your accounting, your pricing, all your finances, all connected. Yeah. Pretty neat. I think it's just cool that that room provides that space where people can not only share experiences, but the rest of us can learn from, and vice versa. We can share stuff that we learned the hard way that people can say, okay, I'm going to try not to do that, right? And it's free. I mean, I can't stress that enough, because a lot of, even with Jennifer Liu, she said, I don't think I asked her how she got it, but it was her first time here. And she said she was trying to do a lot more of these now that she is 1099 or on her own, but she found that a lot of places just want to charge. you want to belong to our group, it'll cost you this. So it's like, you know what? There's a lot of groups that are free that you can test out.
Yes.
Just go find. You're going to find your space, right?
Yes.
If this isn't it, that's okay. You'll find a group where you're going to resonate, and you're going to find what you want, what you need, and that's the beauty of it. Then once you test it out, then you can say, well, does it really add value? Is it worth paying? You make that call. And yeah, there are a lot of groups there that are paid, that are available, but you still have to test it out. You still have to see if you get the value before you invest in it, just like everything else, right?
Yes. That was something that I did have conversations about, where people would say, a guy named Christian, he was an insurance provider or insurance producer. He came up and said, "Oh man, this is great. I haven't been in anything like this. How'd you come by this?" And it was like, well, one, I got kind of lucky. I fell into a spot, and then I met these other 3 individuals, and I asked them to help me figure out, what does this need to be, or what does this need to look like for people who are in need of help. And man, here it is. We've got this thing that I feel like is helpful for people to get that free space that you can test and find out whether or not, hey, is what's here really good for me? And so as I told them that, I said, man, we want to provide resources. I think the first year that we did this, it was just trying to create community. That was just the first thing. It was just trying to just have a thing at a place at a time and be consistent. Okay, well, we accomplished that goal. Now the goal is, okay, we've done that. We know how to do that on repeat. How do we now create the resources that when people come and they experience the free thing, the free event, they can make a good enough decision to determine the next investment for their business? And that's the part that I think more business owners have to make, that discernment and differentiation between what is a cost and what is an investment. And when you come to something like this that has no cost, what I hope begins to come through is that while there is no cost to be a part of the conversation and to have community, for now, there will be an investment later if you really want to be able to take your business and things about it to the very next level, because that's how we grow things. We find ways to invest in them. It doesn't matter what it is. So I do like that it's free. I like that it's that easy first place to land for people to gather information, to make connections, and to get an understanding of who am I, where is this business, where do I want it to go, and all the other things.
And connect with each other. I've seen so many people make cross connections, amongst different industries even. So I might hire Lacho to clean the carpets in here. True story.
Honestly, if that happens, I think that's that checks my box, man. Like, for people to be able to connect with one another and have that referral kind of system within the group that naturally comes about. I mean, I think there's some strategic ways to go about that, but yeah.
Yeah. And it would be great if it's him, right?
Because
you have the need for the service.
He needs a team. He needs a team.
Yeah.
I'll probably get some behind the scenes of him doing a thing. Yeah. Just so I can be like, just post it somewhere. Just put it somewhere.
Just try it.
Just do it. Do a thing.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
My brain works in a process improvement mindset. It's a continuous improvement. Always. Mm-hmm. Always. I've been trained like that I was lucky enough to work at a company where that was the mindset, right? So everything I do now is sometimes to a fault, where sometimes I don't belong there, but I have an opinion or I have a solution. Mm-hmm. Recently, I came across the Blue Ocean strategy. Have you guys heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
I think so, yes.
This is a book about it. There's blue oceans versus red oceans mindset. And this is how to grow a business. Then instead of fighting in a competitive environment, you create your own new market. I find it fascinating, right? So because it's I didn't even know this existed, but it's exactly how I think. And I can probably say my last 10 clients in process improvement, I used this framework without even knowing it. That's what it was. Because the problem is, well, this is our services and the market is saturated. And now it's really a fight. How do I steal customers from my competitor? What do I have to do that? And lower prices or do all kinds of stuff where it affects your business bottom line because you're trying to steal market share, right?
Perceived market share.
So the blue ocean mindset is, well, forget about that. Forget about what your competitors are doing and create your own new market, a new clientele base based on the surrounding market value that you can provide on the services you give. So start looking outside of your own comfort, create new services, create new products, create new markets so that you're the only one and they come to you. And the example they use in the book is Cirque du Soleil. I don't know if you guys know the story about Cirque du Soleil. So Cirque du Soleil used to be a normal circus with animals and all of that. But there were the problem with the circus industry, they were declining. And then they were declining because protests about animals and animal welfare and all of that. So instead of fighting the competition, that's what they came up with that idea. So, well, how do, I eliminate everything that is not working. So get rid of the animals, get rid of all that extra cost and that expense. And then they look at the surrounding areas. How can we make this appealing instead of kids, make it appealing to adults? And they combine theater with the circus. That's how Cirque du Soleil was born.
So make people the animals.
Yes.
Sold.
But I find it fascinating because even at all levels of our own businesses, we should always be doing that. We should always be trying to find, we just get stuck in, okay, this is the only service I give and the only service I provide, where you're missing out everything else that could be, that it's just within your reach. So, this is a good read if you guys want to pick out that book.
Yes. I'm no investor anymore for the most part, besides being an entrepreneur. Like I invest in this, right? But when I was, and by the way, this is not legal or financial advice. Consult your tax advisor and or investment strategist. This is entertainment purposes only.
Read the fine print.
When I did invest actively, I would invest in the Vanguard total stock market, like an index fund, right? And the reason I liked it is because it was self-cleansing and dynamic. Like if a company goes bankrupt, it's not a part of the portfolio anymore, right? So you don't have all your eggs in one basket. But kind of in that, I liked it because it's dynamic, like a business should be, and you should self-cleanse your business, in terms of if something isn't working or something's working better than the other, like just be dynamic in that aspect. So, yeah, that resonates.
Yep. It's very cool.
I think I'm in the process of forming my own blue ocean. You asked me how 2026 is, and it's a little slower, as I told you, but I think in a good way too, because it allowed me to really see what I liked doing, who I liked working with, and finding where I just was not. I didn't want to get to that point of burnout again. And I didn't think I was getting there yet, but I just wanted to make sure I maintained my peace. And through that, I was like, okay, what am I going to offer? And who am I going to serve? And I had to do a really good check. So I have pivoted a little bit. But I am a little bit more discerning, and if it is what it is and it works out, and I'm going to serve certain people a different way, and I'm working on fine-tuning things, but it is what I'm going to do is make my own blue ocean. And I think it was coming from going to networking groups. Outside of this is fine, but if you go to other places where you're meeting others, and then I'm like, God, I'm the third person in the room saying the same exact thing. And like, how is a regular person going to understand how I'm different from another? They may not even know the differences. And, it's going to come down to whether it's my expertise or my personality, how are we going to get along? Or how are we going to, can I really give you what you need? And now, do you have realistic goals? Will you also be the kind of client that I can help? And I used to think I want to help anyone. I can get them there. And I've learned recently, you can do as much as you can. And if they're not willing to do their part, I don't want it to feel like a failure on my end when I tried everything. And so I'm going to do things differently. But then I'm also trying to take in the connection part. I love connecting people when I can. And so it's going to be different packages, different offers, but also in a small community setting where they can also meet each other. Something is similar like this, but then I've noticed women sometimes are like, I only want to be more vulnerable in front of other women.
Yep.
And so I want to try to give them that space. And there are many groups like that.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping the way I do it, it's because you've already come to me because we clicked some way, somehow, whether we go forward or not. It will be my clients along with maybe people that they thought I can help or because they want to be there. And I'm going to just try to mesh it. And so I'm working that out. But I am trying to get to that. One, how am I different from others? Because I'm starting to see this. I go on their websites too, and I'm like, God, the layman can't tell the difference between me and them.
Yeah.
It's going to be me. It's going to be a relationship. But how else can I make it different? And then I can also pick and choose who I work with. So I'm trying to figure that out, and I think probably in the next month or two it should be right there.
Come together.
Yeah. Because just passing ideas through some women entrepreneurs, some of them have voiced that. Oh, I would like that.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes they want to feel like they're not the only mom or the other. Someone said, well, I don't have children. And I get that. I said, I don't want to exclude you. But you never know. I mean, there could be something, perimenopause that we're, people are going through, things that y'all might not understand. But,
my kids call it perimental pause.
Yeah. You can be the support group. You can open another group, the support group for that. But it is. They want to open and share because it does affect them as business owners on that. And so they want to share ideas. And I said, okay, we'll figure this out.
And continuing in that mindset of continuous improvement for this group, what I would like to offer myself, I can't speak for any of you, but it is, if I don't know how to do it, maybe at the end send an email to all participants. But I want to offer an Ask Me Anything session once a week for free to anybody that wants it.
I think that's a really good idea. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you're getting with the emails when I'm sending them out, but I do send out an email. I can have an email go out every week and have a link for that. You think you could build this a little something that I could throw in there and we can link that? But I feel like it would be great if all four of us had, here's the free thing beyond the meeting that you can get that can get you to whatever the next level is. And I think, I think that's the right.
That your checklist, that's an awesome freebie.
Yep.
Where you can send people, download it from here. And if you want a free session with me, I can walk you through it. That's a selling point, a major selling point.
Which is funny. That's the idea I'm working on is let's just meet at a table and eat and ask me anything. But hoping that anything comes out of it, you connecting. Also, there's a person in a different business who's like, oh, well, me too. Or I know someone who can. But it isn't Ask Me Anything. Adam from Instagram does it. And I love that because it's kind of the questions that I've had too. Yeah. And he just answers them on Instagram. And, it's a great idea. And I think because would you do it anonymously or not anonymously, but singular or in a group setting?
I'd say one-on-one.
Yeah.
I say
So-
one-on-one, so they because the group setting is here, you
Right.
know, and I think probably as we get better at it, we might be able to provide quicker and better answers to specific problems there. But I think the group, because a lot of the answers come from other business owners, so it's not necessarily from us, right? But it's beyond that. It's beyond that where, you know what, because I guarantee you this is happening. I guarantee you somebody's going home like, man, I should have asked this. I should, but they didn't. It didn't come out, right? They don't feel comfortable just yet, or they don't want to feel dumb. They're like, man, I don't want to ask that question. Maybe everybody knows it and not me.
Yeah.
They want details. They want how. Show me how to click here, right? Kind of like the way you posted when you said on Facebook, you know, you kind of need to hold my hand, you know, walk me through this.
I don't even remember the post. What
That
post
was the
it?
last time we were here, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
I remember how to create
Yeah.
a new profile or a business page.
Yeah.
Many people are feeling that, and that is of a high value.
It's
to their business.
not. It is not. It is not prevalent. It is not out there much. There are not people who are willing to actually walk you through it. There's people who want to tell you what to do, and they say, "Okay, I'm going to leave you. When I come back, I want this done." Which for me, you don't know this, but like, I have a history with this with that particular story where being overwhelmed by the nature of the task, and also having, I'm not saying that I'm a creative necessarily, but having a mind that probably it leans more towards the creative than it does the structured. So I'm thinking of about 45 to 50 different ways that I could do this and wondering, okay, strategically, which of those ways is best? And then I get caught up in all of the analysis. And so sometimes it's what my daughter needed once. She was cleaning her room. Her room was it was like a tornado hit the room. Like, I know we say that as parents. This was for real. And I remember just being like, she was like, "Don't say anything, Dad." And I was like,
I can't.
No words.
Nothing's coming out.
you don't even have to worry because I can't say anything. This has to be like one of the layers of hell, like the way that this room looks right now. And I said, "Okay, sweetheart, let's do this." She needed the help. It wasn't her initiating what she, if she knew what she needed, she would have already said it, right? She didn't. But I knew what she needed in that moment because I'm a parent. I'm her dad. And I said, "Tell you what, let's do this. Let's just put all of these things over that side. Let's put all these things right there. Let's put all these things over here." I said, "Okay, let's start with your clothes. You got a lot of them. Is this dirty or clean?" I don't know. You should know. Smell it. Is it dirty? Okay, put that over there. Is this dirty or clean? Is this dirty or clean? Is this dirty or clean? And before we knew it, we had a quarter of the room hung or put in the laundry basket. And then the next thing was, hey, does this go on that side of the room or this side of the room? Well, it goes on that side. Okay, let's just move it over there for now. So then we've got everything separated. Now the job's easier. But like me being there, just walking her through it and giving her prompts in a sense. And I think that's what really needs to be out there. That's not out there right now.
You just described the Ask Me Anything session.
Giving a little bit
that's
of
what it
initial
is.
direction.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Well,
Ask me anything. It could be, maybe if I don't know it, then I'll say, you need to talk to Meisie.
Yeah.
Right? Because what you need is that. Or you need to talk to Matt. Because what you need is that. Or you need to talk to
Right.
Darius. Or anybody else in the room that we know. But offering that one-on-one kind of brings the guard down.
Yeah.
Is one-on-one, so hey, nobody's watching, nobody's seeing it. Ask me anything you want. Don't feel dumb about it, right? Or just simply ask anything. If we don't know the answer, we'll find it together, right?
Do you think, well, here's a real question. I mean, I feel like the four of us should have that on there, and it doesn't all have to be the same, but everybody should have something. Like for you, it would be Ask Me Anything. Maisie, for you, it could be titled different, but it's the checklist that works so well. Matt, for you, something.
Content consultation, free DIY recording session.
Or your Score app link.
Yeah.
Where they could just take
Like
the
podcast
test and see
potential
whether or not
kind of
this.
thing.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But everybody having something, like I feel like that is And then for people to understand even more so when we start the areas of expertise in the room, right? The area of expertise that you bring, being able to articulate it, not just in your I help statement, but being able to articulate it in 2 words. Boom, boom. You know, it's where this meets this kind of a thing. Did you tell me that? Did you tell me some version of that?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm a little foggy.
Either way, just, I don't know. I
Even we can also consider ask me anything for all 4 of us. But just hit ask me anything, Carlos. Ask me anything, Matt. Ask me anything, Meisie. Ask me anything, Darius. And let them pick. You know what I mean? Because they have heard us in the room.
That's a given. That's a
they
given.
feel comfortable with someone. So they said, you know what? For the things that I want to bring out or questions or whatever,
Yeah.
I feel comfortable talking to this person.
Yeah.
Give them the choice.
That's a given. What's not is making sure that the 4 of us have something on that page so that can happen. I do think that is the next layer or next level with regard to resource, you know, or
Yeah.
value.
Yep.
So yeah.
I agree.
I like it. Cool.
On that note,